Thanks for joining me for this standing flow. So in theory, you shouldn't need your hands at all for this. So if your wrists are achy, you just want to focus on your upper body, this is the one for you. Let's get started at the front of the mat. So I invite you to join me in Tadasana. We're going to take a really active Tadasana here, strengthening the lower body so we're pushing away from the ground with our feet, encouraging our arches of our feet to come out, our knees slightly rotating outwards, and hopefully you'll feel that activation of your muscles all the way up, right up your quads, glutes. And then you're thinking about extending the crown of your head up to the sky, engaging your neck. You spend a lot of time in front of the computer leaning forward. Are we upright? Is our head directly above our shoulders, chest, our hips? We're looking for that alignment, being straight up. And then, with decision, open out your hands. Really got active hands here. We're not just letting them hang. Really conscious movements and stillness here. And take a deep breath in, the deepest breath you've taken all day. And let it out with a sigh. This time on your mat, the rest of the practice is yours. Focusing only on what serves us today. And remembering at all points in this practice, your breath is there for you. If you find yourself getting distracted or struggling with anything, come back to that breath. It's what will fuel you. On an inhale, you're going to circle your arms up to the sky and take a full body stretch, reaching your fingertips to the sky, maybe your head, but also pushing down into the ground, like you're trying to push the ceiling and floor away that are closing in, using your strength to keep them apart. And on an exhale, relax that a bit, taking your left wrist with your right hand and then bending over to the side. So you might feel a lengthening down the right side of your body. But we're still keeping active here. We don't want to be collapsing into the left. Core is working here, but your legs too, still pushing, keeping activated, not collapsing into the ground. And on an inhale, come back up. Swap wrists, so take your right wrist with your left hand and bend over to the right hand side. Continuing to breathe. On an inhale, come back up. Separating your hands and diving forward on an exhale into your forward fold. Bend your knees as generously as you'd like. Perhaps your first forward fold of the day. Maybe take some swinging motions. Left and right. You might want to clasp the opposite elbows with your hands. Dropping your head, relaxing it. Sending your hips to the sky. We're going to inhale into a halfway lift, so hands to thighs or shins, extending the crown of your head forward. And on an exhale, back down to forward fold. Maybe it feels a bit different to where we were here just a few seconds ago. Then on an inhale, we're going to rise, but not all the way. We're going to rise into a chair pose, so sinking your glutes to the ground, bending your knees, chest up into this chair position. Just giving your knees a check, make sure they're not dipping too far forward. Maybe we want to keep our weight a little bit further back. You might want to be able to lift your toes away from the ground. And here you've got options for your arms. You might want them extended above your head. Maybe in prayer position of the heart feels better for you today. I'm going to take another 3 breaths here. Maybe you can sink a little bit lower, keeping your chest up. And then on your next exhale, send your left leg back into a low lunge. You can have your knee on the ground. If you want the extra fire already, welcome to lift it up. And then sweeping your arms forward on an inhale and up to the sky in a crescent lunge. And then on your next exhale, I'm going to pivot your back leg so that your feet are going behind you and you're opening out to a sort of warrior variation but on your knee. So warrior 2 here, you might want to look over your right fingers, flip your right hand, lean forward and reverse the warrior. You might want to have your hand down by your side or bring it round your back so your hand rests on your hip. And on an exhale, back to that warrior 2 variation. This is going to be a big one for our legs. We're going to step back to the front of the mat. So engage your core, push through your right leg, and bring yourself back into your Tadasana. Active Tadasana here. And just note how you might be feeling. That's kind of hard. We're feeling warm already. Maybe you're feeling a bit lopsided because we've done this on one side, not the other. Inhale, lift your arms up to the sky and dive forward. Taking your forward fold, hips to the sky. Maybe you feel like you've got a bit more space than you did before and you can straighten your legs a bit more. Maybe today is not that day and actually this generous bend in the knees is what's helping you. I'm going to take a halfway lift on an inhale. Exhale, forward fold. And then we're going to take that inhale to a chair pose. You might want to do the same variation as you did last time. With your arms, maybe something different. The choice is yours. And an inhale, join me in this chair pose. Keeping your knees aligned. Maybe notice, did you choose to have your feet apart or together? There's no right or wrong, but let's make conscious decisions today on the mat. Last couple of breaths, can you come a little bit lower in your chair pose? And then on an exhale, step back into that lunge position. Again, the options are bringing your knee to the ground or staying higher up. And on inhale, scooping your arms forward and up into that crescent lunge position. And on an exhale, invite you to drop your knee if it's up. And pivot, so your feet are coming behind you and you're almost in this kneeling warrior 2 position. Chest up, looking forward off the long side of your mat. Flipping your left hand, so it's facing palm to the sky. Leaning forward, and then back into this reclined warrior variation. On an inhale, back into your warrior. And again, this is the big one, to join back up into Tadasana at the top of your mat. Gauge your core, push through your left leg, and step up to the front of your mat. Might have a little shake out. Been pretty tough. And then recenter ourselves in front of the mat. This is a great time to take some water. Or you can join me in this active Tadasana again. And when you're ready, you're going to inhale, raise your arms up to the sky and taking that full body stretch. Maybe a little bit more of a star position. Feet are a little bit wider than your hips. Arms up to the sky, stretching out, taking up space. You deserve to take up space today. And then maybe if your legs are in different position, keeping them there. And on exhale, diving forward into your forward fold. And just noticing how it feels if you've changed your position. So maybe not what we would normally do in a yoga class. But I think it's always good to give our body a bit of variation if it wants it. And on an inhale, and come up into this chair pose. Either arms alongside your head or at your chest. We're going to step back with our left foot into a high lunge position. Of course, if you want to keep your knee on the ground again, that's totally okay. Whoop. Finding your balance, raising your hands to the sky, and then pivoting that back foot. So instead of being in a lunge position with your toes dialed forward, your left toes are dialing out to your side, the heel is coming to the ground. In this warrior one position, your hips might have opened up a bit, but we really want to keep that chest forward. And then we're going to open up on your next exhale into a warrior two. So opening our hips out to the sky, arms out next to us. Then we're going to flip our right palm, lean forward, and then back into this reverse warrior. Exhale, back into your warrior two. And then we're going to straighten that front knee. Don't want to lock it out so it pops. Maybe keep a little bend if that feels better for you today. And then leaning forward and tilting into our triangle pose. And here, you might want to keep your hand hovering or rest on your shin. Here we want to reach our hand up to the sky and we might turn our head up. But if that feels too much for us today, I keep our head down. On an inhale, come back up to this warrior two. And then step back to the front of our mat into our Tadasana. Before we do all again on the other side. So inhale, arms up to the sky. Big stretch. And exhale into a forward fold. Inhale up into your chair pose of your choice. Sitting back, maybe your feet are in a different position to where they were before. And on an inhale, step your right foot back into a high lunge. Toes dialed to the front, core engaged, arms up to the sky. And on an exhale, opening that back foot into the warrior one, heel to the ground, toes out to the side. Then on an exhale, opening out to your warrior two, hips opening to the side, chest opening sky, arms by your side. Flip your left hand, palm to the sky, leaning forward, and then reverse that warrior, hand maybe behind you or resting on your back leg. Your left arm up to the sky. And on an exhale, come back into that warrior two. Might want to straighten out your left knee, lean forward until you rotate to that triangle position, keeping an open chest. Maybe thinking about pushing your hips forward so they're in the same line as your feet. And on an inhale, come back up, warrior two. And then we're going to step forward into that Tadasana. Again, maybe we want to shake it out. We're going to do the last version of this. We'll add something a little bit more if you want it, but always the options that we've done already. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit. So full body stretch, arms to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale into your chair. Good thing about doing this quicker is that we don't stay in chair for as long. Okay, exhale into your high lunge. Arms up to the sky. Pivot your back foot to a warrior one. Open out into a warrior two. Come forward, flipping your palm to your reverse warrior. And exhale back into your warrior two. Here we've got an option. You can take that triangle again, or if you feeling a bit adventurous, you might want to take a half moon. So I recommend bringing your left foot in a little bit, rotating in the same way. Maybe you bend your right foot and lift off, keeping your hips open, lifting to the sky. You can see my balance isn't amazing today, but the option's there. If we fall, it's just part of the practice. It's what helps us learn. Okay, and then back into your warrior two, and stepping forward to the front of the mat to do all again on the other side. So inhale, stretch, reach up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold before we prepare. And then inhale into that final chair pose as low as we can. Stepping that right leg back into the higher lunge. I'm going to pivot the back foot into warrior one. Exhale, open up to warrior two. Flip that hand forward, come into that reverse warrior. And on inhale, come back to your warrior two. And again, option for your triangle. You might want to try half moon on this side. It could feel totally different. And don't worry, if you have a little bit of a wobble, that's exactly what we're here for. And when you're ready, on an inhale, step back, up to the front of the mat. Inhale, hands up to the sky. For anyone who really wants it, there's a final chair pose here, but it's totally optional. If you want to take it, it's the time. I'll join you for a little bit. And then on an inhale, all the way back up, scooping up all of that energy you've created, bringing it down to your heart. It's really great. It's a tough little fly. I hope you enjoyed it. Namaste.